What's up, guys? Got an exciting episode here for you today. We are talking about 5 running backs I would not draft for fantasy football 2022. Players I would avoid when it comes to running back position. I'm going to explain who they are and why I will avoid them. Hopefully you avoid them as well. A player I will not be avoiding is Javonte Williams, and I've got his beautiful speed helmet signed right here, ready to give away, along with amazing other giveaways, including a Jamar Chase signed jersey and a Najee Harris signed jersey, and many more giveaways. To enter, guys, this is absolutely free. Head on over to pristineauction.com, use code SWAGLION, create an account, and you're automatically entered, guys, for these amazing draws. Everybody wants a Javonte helmet, and I don't blame them. So listen, to enter automatically, pristineauction.com, use code SWAGLION, go create an account, you're entered. Also, guys, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys do hit the subscribe button and comment below. Who are you avoiding? Love to get your feedback for the season. Who are you avoiding for fantasy football 2022? At the running back position particularly, all right? So let's dive into these 5 running backs here that I'm going to be avoiding. Again, make sure you get the 16-round draft solution as well. I've linked it below here on YouTube, or head on over to thefantasyfootballcounselor.com, all right? The first running back I'm going to avoid, I'm going to give you an obvious one here. You've heard me say it many times before, but I'm going to dive into it and tell you why I'm avoiding him yet again for 2022. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again here. The first guy on this list of 5 running backs I'm avoiding and I would never draft is Dalvin Cook. Now, Dalvin Cook, oh, man. I mean, this is a guy that everybody was high on except for me, the counselor. Everybody was high on this guy. He was drafted top 3 picks across the board. The mainstream absolutely loved this guy. I don't know what they see in him. The guy has not finished a season. And every time they say his name, they're like, oh, draft Dalvin Cook, but make sure you have Madison. I want to explain something to you guys. This is a very, very simple thing I'm going to explain to you. I want you to understand the thought process. Draft someone else, like a Najee Harris, right? Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, something like that, and just get Madison later. Now you've got yourself 2 RB1s when Dalvin Cook gets hurt, and he will yet again. Now you've got 2 RB1s. Everyone says, oh, I get Dalvin Cook, I get Madison. But then you're only going to have 1 RB1. Why not just, invest? If you're investing early, right? Because Dalvin Cook is now sitting like top 4 again amongst the running backs. The mainstream love him for some reason. Why not just, Dalvin Cook's going to get hurt again, so just get Madison later and just get yourself another RB1. So, you know what I'm saying? So you have 2 RB1s, right? Instead of a cripple and an RB1. So the point I'm trying to make here, why I'm not drafting Dalvin Cook, has not finished a season. If you guys remember a couple years ago, screwed you guys in your fantasy championships, was not there, didn't play. You only played 14 games in 2020, 13 games in 2021. Just doesn't finish seasons, guys. I don't know how to explain this to you. And even though he played the 13 games, he still ended up finishing, what did he finish? 16th amongst running backs in PPR formats. He had, 1,159 yards, 6 rushing touchdowns on 249 attempts. Really, I mean, this is a guy that people drafted top 5 overall. So Dalvin Cook's the guy I'm avoiding simply for the fact that we know he's going to get hurt. Like, it's not a secret anymore, guys. I don't know what to tell you. You're going to miss 3 games out of him. And again, the same arguments. Well, I get Alexander Madison. No, don't just stay away from Dalvin Cook, okay? Next guy here I'm going to avoid, and I told you to stay away from this guy as well, is Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb was a guy, again, also plagued with injuries to the past. 2018, 2019, not that bad, but 12 games in 2020, 14 games in 2021. And, he's always had Kareem Hunt there. And I told you Kareem Hunt outscores this guy in PPR numbers. And Nick Chubb ended up finishing 13th, amongst running backs last year. This is a guy everyone drafted at the end of the first round, busted based on his ADP. Nick Chubb is not a receiving back. He's not. He's a pure runner. And even as a pure runner, 228 attempts does not do it for a guy that was top 5 running back for the mainstream consensus. So this is a guy that I've been avoiding. This is a guy that has hit his ceiling. He's hit his pinnacle going into his 5th year. He was a 2nd-round pick in 2018, and he's always competing in a committee. So I'm going to avoid him, and I always have, and I've done well. And it's funny because the mainstream sheep are not talking about it. I know what I got wrong last year. I was wrong about Saquon Barkley. I take full ownership on that. I was wrong, but Saquon was still top 5, even with the mainstream sheep. So I was in there with the sheep on that pick. And, I hold full accountability, but they're not talking about the fact that I told you to stay away from CMC. He was on a new offense, new team, and he busted last year. Dalvin Cook busted. Nick Chubb busted, right? They had Najee Harris outside the top 10. There's so many lies the mainstream do, and they're not held accountable, right? So just you got to get more right than wrong. And one of the guys that I always got right and I avoided is Nick Chubb, always part of a committee, always being outscored in PPR. From his counterpart there is Kareem Hunt. So I'm staying away from Nick Chubb. I don't think the volume's going to be there. Past couple years hasn't finished seasons. And again, always part of a committee. I'm going to stay away. I'm going to dodge Nick Chubb train. Now, mind you, his ADP, I mean, it's going to go down based on last year, right? He's sitting 12th right now or something like that, PPR in the consensus, right? And he's not as expensive as he was last year. So I don't know if I get him in the 3rd round, 4th round, maybe, but he's not a guy that I'm targeting. I will never have him on my roster. So Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, never will. And these guys are past their prime at this point. They've hit their pinnacle, and they're just not that good. Okay, number 3 here, Zeke Elliott. Now, Zeke Elliott, I want to emphasize the fact that when you're looking at boring, average, you talk about Zeke Elliott. Now, what really disappoints me about Zeke Elliott is, he is going into his 2, 4, 6. He's going into his 7th season now, right? So you're looking at a guy who's kind of a veteran now into his 7th season. And the main concern here with Zeke Elliott is the significant drop in attempts throughout the years. In 2018, 304 attempts, right? In 2019, 301 attempts. I love that. That's Zeke Elliott type volume. That's what I want to see. I want to see 300 attempts out of a guy like Zeke Elliott. But then in 2020, you see 244 attempts and only, 6 touchdowns on the ground. And in 2021, the past year, you're looking at 237 attempts with 1,002 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns. Now, what you're saying, Joe, that's not bad. But if you look at his attempt drop from 304 in 2018 to 237 rushing attempts in 2021, that to me is a huge turnoff. And for that and that reason alone, I will not be drafting him. And then what has actually been going up in regards to the Dallas Cowboys is Tony Pollard's rushing attempts, who have actually gone up. From 2019, he had 86 attempts. In 2020, he had 101 attempts. And 2021, 130 attempts. So as Tony Pollard's attempts have been going up, Zeke Elliott's have been going down. So we're seeing a pattern here, guys. And I look for patterns. I look for trends. I look for declines. And Zeke Elliott is not a guy we'll be drafting. I'm not expecting a pinnacle, high ceiling type of year out of him. I'm just not going to be drafting him. Now, he is ranked 16th or 17th amongst running backs right now, so he is down on the consensus rankings, understandably so. So I'm all in with the rankings here with the Concheapsis, with the Zeke drop, because we've seen the pattern here. So, wow, me and the Concheapsis agree on something for once. So, again, I will not have him on my roster. I haven't had him on my roster for years. Yes, last year I said he's a safe guy, which he was. He finished 7th amongst running backs, which is not bad at all. 252 points. But for a guy that's just safe and constantly declining, I'm going to be dodging the Zeke Elliott bullet. Now, if I see him in around round 4, which I don't think he'll fall to, round 4 or 5, I may pick him up as an RB 3-4. I don't care for him. Yet, I think a lot of the mainstream people and a lot of people in your leagues are still going to draft him as an RB1. And maybe he gets good value. Maybe you get him in the 3rd or 4th round and he drops that low and he becomes an RB1 and still finishes top 5, top 10. Maybe, but I personally won't be drafting him, okay? Next guy here, we talked about Dalvin Cook. We talked about Nick Chubb. We talked about Zeke Elliott. The next guy I will be avoiding is Joe Mixon. Now you're like, well, Joe, what's wrong with Joe Mixon? Finished last year. Where did he finish? 4th amongst running backs, 13 touchdowns, 4.1 yards per carry, and 1,205 receiving yards. Or sorry, 1,200, what did I say here? 1,205 rushing yards, sorry. So Joe Mixon had a pinnacle year. And here's the thing with Joe Mixon. With Joe Mixon, you got to look at his pinnacle year prior to 2021, which was in 2018, where he had 8 touchdowns. So this was his pinnacle year in 2021. And he hadn't had this since 2018. Out of the 4 years, he was mediocre at best. I kept saying this about Joe Mixon. Now, he's finally in a good offense. He's got Jamar Chase, one of the best receivers of the game now, catch the ball, keeping the defenses on their toes, worrying about wide receivers, him and Higgins and the receivers of Boyd, kept the defenses back, opened things up for Joe Mixon. Now, Joe Mixon has actually finished 2 seasons out of the 5 seasons he's played six games in 2020, 16 games in 2021. So, he had a good year, but 292 attempts, that's a pinnacle for him. Is that going to continue? Is there more ceiling out of Joe Mixon now going into his 6th season? That I'm going to doubt. I really don't feel he's going to eclipse what he did in 2021. And I'm going to avoid him because, again, one really good year out of all those years. Again, I like the offense. I really do. I like Joe Burrow. I like Jamar Chase. I think the connection is there. Those guys I'm going to be targeting and looking at in fantasy. But Joe Mixon's a guy, again, 3 out of 5 seasons, didn't finish them. And coming off a pinnacle year, just for those reasons alone, I'm going to be dodging him. And he's going to be expensive. The consensus are going to say, well, he finished 4th last year. They're going to rank him really high. And for those reasons and those reasons, good reasons for that matter, I'm going to stay away. Pinnacle year, I don't see him duplicating those numbers. So I'm going to be staying away. I'm not going to pay the high draft capital on him. So I'm not sold. I think he's a pretender. I think he's a faker. I think he's due for another injury, and had the career year of his life. So I'm going to be dodging him. Okay. Next guy here, and the final guy I'm going to talk about here. So again, we talked about Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, Zeke Elliott, Joe Mixon. Big names, but 5th, 6th, 7th seasons now. I'm going to be declining them. They're going to be declining. I'm going to be avoiding them. The next guy is Christian McCaffrey. Now, Christian McCaffrey going into his 6th season, coming off 2 horrible years. The guy he's played 10 games in the past 2 seasons, which is absolutely crazy. He's had 6 rushing touchdowns in 2 seasons, yet the mainstream have him number 2 on the consensus in PPR amongst running backs. Somehow thinking that it's some sort of bounce back season for Christian McCaffrey, who literally got hurt last year for just running. Like, it wasn't even a hard run. He just tweaked his hamstring. He was gone. Guys, if you are a professional athlete, okay, you shouldn't be modeling. I'm going to say this again. I'm going to say it so, for the people in the back to hear this. If you are a professional athlete, fully immersed, a top running back in the NFL, fully immersed in your career, you shouldn't be modeling. That time you spent modeling, that day, those couple hours spent modeling, should have been focused on stretching or doing something that could actually be productive, maybe focusing on better nutrition. Because simple route out of the backfield shouldn't take you out for pretty much half the season and nobody touched you. Oh, hamstrings happen, whatever. Yes, but 10 games in 2 seasons. Christian McCaffrey is an embarrassment, an absolute embarrassment. I would never put that guy on my team. To hell with him. So there's no way in hell I'm putting him on my team just for the fact that he got hurt last year with a hamstring injury and nobody touched him, and he's played 10 games in the last 2 seasons. That's all I got to say. I'm not even going to add the fact that, when he was doing well, the quarterbacks that were throwing to him aren't the quarterbacks that are throwing to him right now. So there's a quarterback situation. Is it Darnold? Who's throwing to him? Is it Newton again? Newton played a couple games last year, didn't get it done with him, right? He was hurt anyway. So the point I'm trying to make is the quarterback situation sucks there. It absolutely sucks with the Carolina Panthers. PJ Walker, is he going to be the guy who played 5 games? Newton played 8 games. Darnold played 12 games last year. Christian McCaffrey was hurt anyway. So I don't know, man. It's just not the offense that it was years ago. It's not the Christian McCaffrey that we had years ago. If healthy, I can see him finishing top 5 just based on volume, based on talent, based on being healthy. But for the facts that I'm stating here, I'm going to be avoiding him. I'm just disgusted with him. And again, I was avoiding him. I told you to stay away from him last year and the year before. So sure enough, you dodged 2 bullets if you listen to me. So again, I would never draft this guy. And sure enough, I was right for 2 years. Maybe he comes back. Maybe he comes back this year and absolutely proves me wrong. I'm just not going to pay, top 3 pick to find out. Give me someone else. Give me a Derrick Henry for a bounce back year, someone like that. All right. So that's it, guys. Those are my 5 running backs I'm avoiding. There's other running backs I'm obviously avoiding, guys. It goes without saying that I will not be drafting, bottom feeders. Let me give you a couple names here that I would just never draft. Nice guy, but James Conner would never draft him. Aaron Jones, he's on the decline as well. Obviously Melvin Gordon's of the world, Myles Gaskins of the world, people like that, Chase Edmonds, Kenyon Drake's, obviously people like that won't draft. I want to give you some obvious names, bigger names, right? And tell you I wasn't going to draft them. All right. So these are fantasy football players to avoid. If you want to call them fantasy football busts, whatever, I'm going to be avoiding them. Hopefully you guys do as well. And some of the ADPs are ridiculous on these guys. I'm just not going to pay it. All right. Now, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys do click the subscribe button and comment below. Let me know what you guys think and get that 16-round draft. So I give you all the sleepers, breakouts, everything you need, notes, video training, to help you guys crush your fantasy football 2022 draft. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Tons of content coming your way. I'm out.